we get a lot of questions from those looking to take their first cruise, asking us what the experience is really like. A lot of times, these questions are based on some common misbeliefs about what the cruise experience is like. So, we put together this video to help you wade through all the disinformation out there. That way, you can decide if a cruise is really right for your next vacation. So, let's dive in. Welcome aboard, cruisers. I'm Don B from Eat Sleep Cruise, where we help you see the world one port at a time. Now, Heidi and I went on our first cruise together back in 2007, and I'll go ahead and let you do the math there to determine how long we've been cruising as a couple. Now, of course, the cruise experience has come a long way since those first cruises together. Quite honestly, a lot of the cruise experience has gotten better over the years. Still, there are several cruise misconceptions out there that we hear from those looking to take their first cruise. Perhaps one of the biggest ones that we hear all the time is that cruises are just way too expensive. Of course, it is true that the cost of everything has gone up over the last couple of years, and travel is no exception. It is also true, of course, that everything on cruise ships has also gone up. Cruise line base fares are higher, the cruise lines charge more for things like gratuities, and other add-ons like drink packages and Wi-Fi. But cruises are one of the best vacation values when you factor in a cruise includes accommodations, a variety of dining options, and included beverages, as well as onboard amenities and entertainment. Once you account for everything included in the cruise fare, cruises typically cost a fraction of other similar vacations. And you don't have to take our word for it. Travel insurance company Insure My Trip did an analysis, and they found typically cruises cost about 30% less than similar land-based vacations. In our own experience, if you time things right, you can often take advantage of special promotions that provide even greater value. A cruise line promotion might score you a free beverage package, specialty dining credit, or included gratuities. For even more savings, working with a trusted travel advisor can provide additional perks and benefits. These experts can also point you in the right direction and help you pick the right cruise line, cruise ship, and itinerary. A few years ago, we invited some friends and fellow travelers to join us on a trip. Before booking, they asked us if they would feel trapped on a cruise ship. While we know some non-cruisers have this concern, we were surprised when our friends actually asked us this, knowing that we cruise all the time. We explained that they should have no worries, as the cruise ship we were going on had many features and they wouldn't even realize they were on a cruise ship. For those who've never been on a cruise ship, I guess we can see why they might have this idea they're going to feel confined on sea days, as they have no option to leave the ship, right? Because it's sailing from one port to the next port. Yeah, honestly, on today's modern cruise ships, there are so many distractions that the thought of being trapped has actually never crossed our minds. On sea days, we never feel trapped. It's actually quite the opposite. We often feel like we're racing around to fit everything in as we sail from one port to the next. Now, of course, you don't have to do that. You can just relax and do nothing on a lounger. It's totally up to you. Now, if some of the included onboard activities of your particular cruise ship or the cruise ship you're looking at do not interest you, there are plenty of other amenities on board to pass the time. Almost every single cruise ship has a fitness center. There are also spas, and many offer several boutiques and stores in which you can browse and go shopping. Plus, there's open deck space to walk and admire the views, helping ease any of those confined fears. Still, we always recommend cruisers download some podcasts or movies to their devices, or take along a few books, or pack some light games in your carry-on if you need additional activities to help you pass the time. Sometimes we're asked, with all the cruises you go on, do you guys ever get bored? Again, we don't know why people have this conception that cruises are boring. As we just mentioned, modern cruise ships have so much to do and see that there's never a dull moment. And there are even more activities and attractions on the cruise ships of today versus the cruise ships we first started sailing on back in 2007. Of course, onboard public venues and amenities do vary from cruise line to cruise line and cruise ship to cruise ship. So that's why it's super important to, of course, do your research and make sure you pick the right cruise ship that has the activities, the restaurants, and the events that interest you. But the mega ships we tend to sail on cater to everyone, from family to adventure travelers, with onboard activities like zip lines, rope courses, water slides, and other onboard amusements. Most cruise lines also have cruise director-led activities that are completely free,
and these include things such as dance classes or other cooking or mixology demonstrations. They often have cultural experts or historian lecturers, along with other enrichment during the cruise depending on the region and itinerary. There are other events like onboard game shows, trivia, and dance parties, and the list goes on and on. The nighttime entertainment has come a long way from the stereotypical old cruise review show, which used to be the staple evening entertainment. Now, evening shows include Broadway shows and Tony Award-winning acts. Each cruise line's offerings do cater to a slightly different clientele, so there's bound to be a cruise line that's perfect for you. But as I mentioned, we often scramble to fit everything in during our week-long cruises on these ships. With cruises only visiting most ports for one day, some will argue there isn't enough time to truly see a destination. So these travelers looking for authentic experiences from the destinations often think cruising is not for them. Cruise lines have listened and created itineraries and options for more in-depth experiences. Many ships now have extended port stays. Some even feature overnight stays in popular ports of call. Also, new shore excursion options exist for travelers to get a more culturally enriching time ashore. Now, of course, you don't need to book your shore excursions and tours through the cruise lines. In our travels, we have found many local tour operators who we book outside of the cruise line who have given us incredibly authentic experiences. The best part is that often these tours that we book outside the cruise line are at a fraction of the cost of what the cruise line charges for their tours. In all our travels, we have found that at each stop, there are plenty of opportunities to do and see as much, or again, as little as you want. If you leave a particular port of call wishing you could have done more, you can always book a return trip to that city or country. The one thing we love about cruising is that it offers a chance to see multiple places in one trip. Getting a taste for a destination will help you decide if you actually want to go back for a longer stay. Now think about the opposite situation. For our honeymoon, we decided not to do a cruise. I know, this will shock you. Because of course we had already been on several cruises together as a couple. So instead, I somehow convinced Heidi that we should take a land-based tour to a region we had never visited. By the second day of our honeymoon, we were scrambling to book tours and find additional things to do. And honestly, by day 5 of that trip, we were both ready to head home. On a cruise, it's not a big deal if one port of call is not what you expected. You know that the next day, the ship will dock somewhere else. On the other hand, if you book an extended stay somewhere and you hate it, you're either stuck there or you lose some money trying to change your plans. For years, one of our family members refused to go on a cruise with us. Her main concern was getting seasickness. She occasionally gets motion sickness and avoids many amusement park rides as they make her feel uneasy. But we tried to explain to her that a cruise ship isn't a roller coaster. We also tried to assure her that being on a large cruise ship differs significantly from being on a small boat or a sailing yacht. The truth is that a tiny percentage of people do get sick on a cruise. Modern cruise ships have several enhancements, like stabilizers, that significantly reduce the ship's motion. So cruisers will hardly feel if the seas get rough. Admittedly, you are sailing, so you are bound to feel some of the motion, but honestly, Heidi and I rarely feel it. For those with extra motion sensitivity concerns, plenty of low-cost options help prevent seasickness. Of course, you should always talk to your doctor before trying any seasickness remedy. Now, our family member and the rest of her family swear by the sea bans. But again, consult with your physician before going on a cruise. Now, while it's not seasickness, another misconception or another claim that we hear all the time that actually drives me completely insane is that cruise ships are a floating petri dish. Nothing could be further from the truth. Cruise ships are held to some rigorous safety and health standards. However, the media loves to lead with reports of cruise ship illnesses, like cases of the norovirus. The truth is that there are occasional outbreaks on ships, but these are no more frequent than you would find on land. The slight chance that either of these illnesses could occur is no reason to avoid trying your first cruise vacation. While my wife Heidi still enjoys dressing up for those cruise formal nights, I could take it or leave it. But that said, many cruisers opt to no longer pack the suit and gowns for their cruise. While it depends on the cruise line, we would say on a typical cruise, about half of the cruisers dress up. The other half of the ship wear outfits that range from smart casual to beach attire on cruise formal nights. Modern cruise ships have several dining options. There's always room service and even specialty restaurants. And there are plenty of places to dine on a cruise ship where you don't need to dress up, regardless of what night it is. And whether or not you agree with this trend, cruising outfits have become more casual. Either way, those thinking about a cruise and wanting to remain casual the whole trip can certainly do so. Trust us, you will not feel out of place. We could debate whether or not cruisers who pass on dressing up should be let into the main dining room on a formal night. We'll let that happen in the comments section. But the dining room hosts usually let those into dinner who are not wearing that night's recommended attire. Now, on other nights of the cruise, most cruise lines' main dining room dress code is considered smart casual. This usually means pants or nice jeans and a collared shirt for men, and slacks and a top or a casual dress are acceptable for women. Can you wear shorts or other casual clothes to most main dining rooms on a cruise ship? Well, the dress code says one thing, but we regularly see cruise lines seat people in the main dining room with what appears to be a step above pool deck wear. But of course, personally, we would never recommend you wear that to the main dining room. If you follow our channel, you know that Heidi and I cruise is just a couple. Another misconception that we often hear is that cruise ships aren't for me. They're not for me for several reasons. Maybe they're not for me because I'm a solo traveler, or maybe they think they're just for old people. Now, it is true that many mega ships from contemporary cruise lines target specifically families, and those ships offer the amenities I'm talking about here that appeal to kids, like water slides or go-karts and virtual reality games. But honestly, we still gravitate to these ships as we enjoy many of these amenities. I guess at some level you could say that we're big kids at heart. These ships offer various entertainment and dining options too, meaning we never feel overwhelmed by families. But honestly, those are not the only ships in the market. Several premium and upscale cruise lines target adults and couples. Some of these lines, like Celebrity Cruises or Princess Cruises, are family friendly, but we would say they're not necessarily family focused, for at least most of the ships in their fleet. So cruisers will see far fewer kids on most of these vessels, and then there are some cruise lines that don't allow any kids at all. Cruise lines like Virgin Voyages and Viking are for those who are 18 plus. We've sailed on both cruise lines, and while they offer drastically different cruise experiences, both are a nice departure from being on a ship that does have families. And we think it goes without saying that in 2024, there's a cruise line for everyone, regardless of your age. Some cruise lines are better suited for those more seasoned travelers and offer amenities and itineraries that cater to those who can travel for extended periods of time. Other cruise lines, like we mentioned, cater more to couples and to younger travelers and families, whereas some lines are actually looking at individual travelers. Many cruise lines have been adding cabins that are designed for parties of one, so cruising has become an excellent option for solo travelers. Virgin Voyages has several cabins on its ships designed for solo travelers. With its more inclusive cruise entertainment, those traveling alone can feel more comfortable meeting new people on Virgin Voyages ships. Likewise, Norwegian Cruise Line offers solo cabins on its more recent ships. Those staying in solo cabins have access to a private lounge. Plus, there's a dedicated host who organizes events and is there to help guide newbie cruisers through the process. When we tell individuals that we're sailing on cruise ships that have 2, 3, or 4,000 passengers, a frequent concern for those who have never been on these ships is that they won't be able to escape their fellow passengers. And honestly, after cruising on the world's largest cruise ships for years, we never worry about the crowds. While there is some occasional queuing at certain times, these ships feature several public areas and venues scattered throughout the vessel to help disperse crowds. Take, for example, Royal Caribbean's Oasis class ships, some of the largest cruise ships in the world. These ships feature several themed neighborhoods, so cruisers can enjoy a tranquil outdoor space in Central Park, or compete against each other on the sports deck at the top of the ship. Then adults can enjoy some peace and quiet at the forward solarium reserved for those 16 or older. But that's just one example. All cruise lines design modern ships offering various venues to suit travelers with different tastes. That said, we will acknowledge that you might find some occasional busy areas even on some smaller ships. Everyone will want to see the signature show, so you should expect a line at the theater, so arrive there early for the best seats. Or the buffet might be difficult to navigate if you go there for lunch at noon on a sea day. So regardless of the size of the ship, some simple planning can ensure you can bypass any crowds. Thus, you can enjoy everything the ship has to offer with no hassles. And now that we've corrected some of these cruise misconceptions that you probably had at the beginning of the video, we need to find you the right cruise ship for for that first cruise? Well, lucky for you, Heidi and I tested out the 9 newest cruise ships and we rated them all right here on YouTube. In that video, we compare these 9 brand new vessels on several categories such as dining, entertainment, onboard activities, staterooms, and more. That way, we can help you pick the perfect ship and your first cruise will be smooth sailing.